Just picked this one up, 2013 LX570. Just about to roll 110,000 miles on it. I picked this one up from my boss, so I know it's been taken care of. I know the service history on this thing, and I've known him since he bought this in 2020. It had 60,000 miles on it when he bought it. And since then, I've owned 3 of these LX570s. So I'm really familiar with them too. And, you know, I felt like it was a good purchase. I got a really good deal. And knowing exactly what this thing has been throughout the years, you know, it hasn't been babied, but it's been taken great care of. It's dusty. That's all I can say about it. Just a dusty LX. You would think this owner lived on a dirt road. He doesn't, but I know why it's dusty. Anyway, it was a really good deal. I'm not going to say how much I paid for it, but it was well below what I could sell for. That's the only reason why I got it. I was not looking for one of these. I have a 2006 Tundra mint, double cab, long bed, all that good stuff, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I am most likely going to sell it because I got such a good deal on this. I could see myself keeping it for a while. This would be my 4th LX570, I think. 3rd or 4th. Regardless, I've owned a couple of them, and every generation except the LX450 and the LX, what is it, the 600. So, but I wouldn't say that I will never own an LX600 or 700H. Anyway, so I've owned every generation of these, and I know about them. And I know they're complex, but I also know how to work on them. And I know this thing has been serviced. So, like I said, and I'll say it again, I know the service history, and I know who owned this. He was actually a service writer at Toyota for, I think, around 12 years, 13 years. So he's very familiar with these vehicles and Lexus, Toyota. And I just know that this thing has, like I said, hasn't been babied, but it's been taken well care of. And it was just dusty. That's my only thing I'm going to say about it. It is dusty. You would think this owner lived on a dirt road, but he didn't. So he got some typical hazing of the headlights, but I think I'll be able to get that out of there. I don't see any issue with that. Clear coat, or fading of the front grille here. This is all very common stuff. Chrome peeling in some spots. I might even just remove those entirely. This is broken on the other side, so there's water intrusion over there. Easy fixes on this thing to make it absolutely mint. And I would really like to get this thing looking nice. I just cleaned the interior. I can see a little dent right there, but this thing's nice. I mean, like I said, I know the history of it, so it makes it even a more positive purchase for me, and reassuring that everything's been done on it. It's not a shady owner, from what I know anyway. Who knows? My boss might be shady, but looks like a good purchase. Feels like a good purchase. We'll see if it truly is a good purchase if I drive it for a while. So, typical LX Land Cruiser. I've owned a lot of these. I can say now, I think 7 Land Cruisers or LXs are the same thing. I've owned a lot of these, and this is my favorite thing. I will always say this. The rear is just so cool. I can't tell you how many times I came up here last Christmas, and I sat right over here in my last LX. And it might not look like it, but you can see a lot from here. I mean, you can probably see 20 miles at least. And it was just cool. So I can't tell you how many times I've just sat on the tailgates. That's the whole point of that. I would just come up here and sit and listen to music and stare off at night up there. It's just it's really cool to have kind of a truck, and it's comfortable. There's storage in here. You know, they just did it right. You know, everything has its purpose. Power seats. This is funny. This didn't change. This is the kind of don't fix it or don't change it if it's working or it's not broke. That was the same switch panel and button layout from 08 to 2021, I believe. So they really didn't change much. I mean, that 94 Land Cruiser that I just had, was literally the same layout back here. The seats folded up the same. They click down into the same, you know, they engineered this thing and it stuck for a long, long time. The split, you know, the folding rear hatch, all that. It's my favorite thing about these vehicles. It's so easy to load stuff in. I mean, it's funny. We were out on a job site craning in a big ass mod pool, and we had a bunch of plastic left over from covering this 20 by, I think it was 8 feet pool. And we just stuffed it in the back of this thing. And I was joking with him that he was gonna just leave all of that plastic in there because it was literally took up the whole area back here. But I cleaned it. You can see what it looked like before I cleaned it. I mean, there was so much dirt build up on, I mean, it's still dirty, still needs another go around, but it's clean. It's missing the little cover for the hitch. I'll probably spend money on that. I miss this in my 2019, the chrome on the back here. I actually really miss that. I did miss some touches on that 2019 that the previous generations have. I like each generation of these LXs though. I really do. I don't have anything bad to say about them. They have great resale value. I very rarely lose money when I sell one of these LX570s or the 470. I put a lot of miles on them. Let me think here. The 09 I put 30,000 on. The 2019 I put 30,000 on. And the 03 I think I put 25,000 miles on, so it's 60, so almost 100,000 miles, and I'm sure I'll put a lot of miles on this. Who knows though? I don't have a commute in a personal vehicle anymore for work. Regardless, these really did not change much. So what I went through with the 08 or 09, I think it was the 09 LX570 and the 2019 LX570, they're the same thing. The transmission changed in the 2019. That is literally the only massive upgrade on the LX that it saw in almost, was it 18 years, 15 years? These things just did not change. It's like the Sequoia and the Tundra. They just kept them the same. I mean, I do appreciate that the AHC system is better. That was a scare, not a scare, but rather just a concern with owning the 100 series. The 03 that I had was the AHC system just wasn't as updated and nice, obviously, as this one. You know, I know, like I said, why this was a great purchase for me is because I know the history of it. I know that this got fluid filmed for the frame. I fluid filmed my 2019 up on the lift at work with the previous owner, so I know it got fluid filmed. Brand new tires. I think they have 10,000 miles on them or 15,000 miles on them or something. So only thing that bugged me is years, you know, for 5 fucking years, he couldn't replace this fucking plate or put a plate surround on it. I almost bought him a plate surround. Just, that bugged me. I'm glad that I can get that taken care of now. Anyway, like I said, not a lot changed with these, so I don't really know what I want to go over for kind of a review. I think I'll just kind of show you guys around, or show around the vehicle, and just kind of point out certain things. I do like the chrome, of course, because it was changed quite a bit for the 2019 I had. But I do like the AHC access panel, which is on the other side, but you know, it's not up in the engine bay. Interior is really nice on this. Like I said, 109,000, almost ready to turn 110,000. There's no massive damage or, I mean, typical wear on the bolster here. And that's another reason why I love Lexus. I've never seen a vehicle that holds up so well. 108,000 miles. I've had one that had 130 or 40,000 miles. It just holds up so well. I mean, what vehicle do you know, a 2013 vehicle, that the interior looks like this with over 100,000 miles on it? The buttons show no wear. You know, that's why that's why I like these. And that's why if there's a deal out there for one, I'll most likely do it. Only thing I ever saw with these was this portion here. It always lifts up that little wood. This is real wood too. It's that piano type wood. I don't know exactly what type, but it is very thin real wood under there. He took good care of it. I mean, I cleaned all around. I cleaned the sills and all in there, just sprayed it out and fluffed it. Kind of just, I'll have to do another clean, I'm sure. But what I love about these vehicles is the sound deadening and insulation and just the overall noise, vibration, harshness levels. I mean, you can tell that they spent a lot of time doing that. This is double pane windows, and that's on all LX570s. You can see that there, how it's separated. It's double pane, and that's all windows on these LXs. All are auto up and down. That's always nice. I do really like the 2019 switches. Those switches were really cool, but not gonna complain. This is pretty much the same thing as that 2019 I had. But this is what I love about these, is you can literally step inside and just listen when I shut the door, the noise difference. That's pretty cool. Just very, very sound. Now, you know, one thing about these, the coolers in the seats, they're loud. Honestly, sounds like the AC is on full blast. The AC isn't even on. But another thing that a lot of people don't realize is how much time was spent engineering this, and the sound of the AC or heat coming out of the vents, it can be on high, and it kind of just is that background noise. It almost sounds like static on a radio or something. It's a very comfortable noise with anything that's you know, with any type of operation with the seat coolers or, you know, the HVAC system. It's just really quiet. Everything is just really quiet. Shifting everything is just so easy. And I like it that there's storage on this one. The last 2019 LX570 I had, there was so much stuff going on in here. It just felt really overwhelming. I love this suspension system, and it's easy to work on. This particular one actually got a brand new pump for the AHC system and new accumulators as well, and a bunch of fluid flushes in there. That was just done as just routine maintenance. You know, I did accumulators of the globes in my 09 as well around the same time. It's a really cool system. So there's a lot going on with it, but it is very reliable, and people really don't have a lot of issues with the hydraulic suspension in these, whether, you know, it's a 09 or 2021, whenever they did the changeover. You really don't hear a lot in the 200 series about issues with these. You do have to change the fluid every, I think, 60,000 miles or something, but it's really easy to do. If you can bleed brakes on a brake caliper, then you can bleed the HC system in these. It's intimidating when you first get involved with it, but once you get to learn it and just, you know the problems of it and what to replace. The shock absorbers, a lot of people say, oh, it's leaking, you know, it's got some weeping. It's a hydraulic system, and any engineer or person that is involved with hydraulics or pneumatics, they will tell you, you will get weeping. The pressures are pretty high and you will get weeping. Now, when you're having to top off your reservoir every week or 2 weeks, yeah, that's an issue. But typical weeping where, you know, you're not having to top your reservoir off every 6 months or something, that's typical with a hydraulic system. So a lot of people get, you know, they go into the dealer and it says, oh, all 4 shocks are leaking, it's going to be $2,500. Yeah, not necessarily a huge problem is what I'm saying. This one's pretty basic, and I guess I like you know, that it doesn't have the huge screen up here. The other one felt really, really confined over to this area. Everything kind of had a curve to it over here, and it cut off a lot of room inside. And I'm not complaining about that 2019 at all, because I really like that vehicle. But this one is pretty much identical. The mirrors didn't even change. You know, nothing. A little bit changed up here. I think the buttons were different. You could tap up here on the actual LED light and it would turn on. But like I said, it'll say it again, nothing really changed on these from 09 to 2021 besides just little updates here and there. Drivetrain stayed the same. A lot of the interior components stayed the same. Major updates in 2016, of course, but this thing rides like all. The 2019, of course, rode better, and I knew it would ride better because it was brand new, right? Low mileage on it. It had 80,000 miles on it when I bought it. But they all ride the same. Of course, like I said, the 2019 rode a little better because it was new, but this one rides really, really smooth, and it's quiet. So you really see the quality out of them, even with 110,000 miles. So this one is 2013. Big screens and all that, and were not really a thing. Just having screens was the cool thing. I likely will never use that at all. But I cleaned the seats. Like I said, I know the owner of this before, and I highly doubt that he had many people in the back seat at all. Maybe he is kind of a player, if you call it. But multiple women in one vehicle is never a good thing, so I'm sure they sat all over there, and we'll check all that out. If he had a bunch, I did notice there was some beach sand in there. I don't know if he took some call girl down to Florida or something in this thing, but there was some sand in there. I'll get to the bottom of that. Anyway, it's clean. It is clean. I always like the carpeted mats. I'll probably find some, but still plush and comfy seats. LX570s are always so comfortable. I think this has the cool box. It does have the cool box. That's always a pretty cool feature. Although I never used it in the last one that I had that had the cool box. Tires aren't bad on it. I think he said they have 10,000 miles or 15,000 miles on them. I don't know if these are cooled back here or not. Low, high. I don't think they're cooled. Perforated though, and really comfortable. I remember when I had the other LX570s, everybody always said they're really comfortable. There's so many adjustments too. I mean, you can go forward here quite a bit too. You can see how much I'm going forward from the other seat. And then you can also recline this back quite a bit. And there's screens. In 2013, that was top. And what I like too is, say you want to fold this up and put something in the way back, it's just one button and it folds right up. These are kind of a pain. I like them, but I don't. You have to roll them up and put them back in the slot right here. And you have to be pretty precise on how you actually roll this thing up and put it in there, because there's not a lot of clearance when this seat closes and meets the carpet. So a lot of the times people just throw them back here. You just have to be careful, because I'm sure that would damage the seat if you closed it without that. And what that is it's a tie down. I always put it up here on this grab handle, and then you can adjust it. And what that's for is to keep the seat from rocking around when you have it up. It's excellent engineering. I mean, another reason why I love these is just the engineering. I'll always say that they thought everything through for the most rugged terrain. I mean, this thing could go through the Sahara and back with just oil changes for the next 5 years. Let's see how comfortable these seats are back here. Shut the door. It's stadium seating as well. So when you're sitting back here, you can see over the top of most drivers and passengers up front. Fortunately, this one doesn't have the dark tint on the front windows and the windshield, because I hated that on that last LX570 I had. It had ceramic tint windshield, wasn't that bad, but whoever put the fucking tint on the side windows, I couldn't see out of that at night. It was terrible. Comfortable back there. I could do a long road trip. So yeah, nothing really changed throughout the years on these. Same drivetrain, same pretty much everything. Just little updates here and there. I really like them. I average, I'd say 17 miles a gallon is what I've typically averaged on these things when I've owned them. Let's pop the hood. I am sure it is gonna be dusty. That's gonna be the fuel. I'm sure it's gonna be dusty, and there's gonna be missing clips holding down the little engine cover. Let's see, this is the first time I popped the hood, so you never know what's gonna be under here. Women's panties, I don't know. Previous owner was kind of weird. Ooh, yeah, it's dusty. It is dusty. Nothing a good soak down and degrease or take care of. I don't see any oil or smoking or anything. It's very quiet. You can kind of see I don't know why they did it. I think probably just to maybe go lighter, or maybe have more access to the engine for basic routine maintenance. But if you want to do anything on this, I think you can get away with it on an oil change, of course. But if you're doing spark plugs or coolant change or radiator or anything that's rather big repair, you have to take out all of these panels. And in 2016, they only did the paneling up to here. And I did like that about the 2019 I had. Didn't have this ridiculous paneling everywhere. But I feel like this helps out with keeping noise levels down. You know, there is this rubber strip here. There's just a lot of deadening and noise canceling things with this, and I'm sure this helps a lot. 3UR FE motor. They made this motor forever. I think that they quit making it in 2021 or 2022. I think the Tundra or the LX570 was the last model to have that motor, and they started making that motor in 2007. It's almost 20 years. It was very close that they produced this motor, which is ridiculous that everything went from this massive V8 for Toyota's flagship vehicles to a twin turbo twin turbo V6 cylinder that quick. A lot changed from this prehistoric dinosaur that got some updates throughout the years to a twin turbo V6 LX600, and now the LX700 with the hybrid system that's pushing crazy amount of power. Anyway, typical Lexus. These engines sound very much quieter than the ones in the Tundras or the Sequoias or any other variant that they put the 5.7 in. Some say it's due to engine manufacturing, where they come from. They have tighter tolerances and all of this. I've never really confirmed that, but that's what I've heard. I have noticed that the 5.7 liters in any Lexus or the 4.7 that I had in my 03 was much quieter than anything in the Tundra. And some debate it, and they say, well, you know, they're from the same plant, this or that. But I will say I've noticed that the engines in a Lexus is always quieter than the Toyota variant. Other than that, this thing's a beast. Looking forward to it, getting it cleaned up a little bit more. Don't know if I like the black wheels, but we'll see. We'll get it cleaned up daily for a little bit, enjoy it, maybe sell it. We will see. 2013 LX570, we'll see where it goes and where it takes me and all that stuff.